What is going on, everybody? I am back. I missed you guys. I hope you guys missed me too. I was in Illinois the past couple of days visiting with family. Mickey and I were finishing the arrangements for our baby shower, so it was just a good time relaxing. I got to decompress, not really watch the news, just hang out with my loved ones and enjoy the time. But when I was scrolling on X, I saw something that I had to make a video about as soon as I got back home, and that is corporate America ditching and absolutely canceling Pride Month. Now, when Donald Trump won the election, it signaled a massive victory for the culture war, for all of us normal people who were tired of the constant indoctrination by the Democrats. But I was so curious how this victory, how this release from the shackles of woke ideology would affect Pride Month. The forced normalization of this movement over the last 4 years was so massive, I wasn't sure what stance corporate America was going to take. But it looks like the strangulation that the left had over the culture, forcing us to celebrate in the streets of America what people do in the private confines of their own bedroom, is officially over. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but let's start with the clip that inspired me to make this video in the first place, showing the stark difference, the 180 corporate America has taken from last year to this year.
No change. Microsoft? No change. Xbox? No change. Disney? No change. Target? No change. Starbucks? Even Starbucks roached out on the gays? Of all the people to roach out on the gays, you're going to expect Starbucks to do it? Damn.
The fact that Starbucks, the mecca for the blue-haired socialist type, isn't engaging in the virtue signaling this year shows that the cultural normalization was nothing more than a coordinated top-down totalitarian indoctrination campaign. This wasn't a natural, organic movement that had widespread support across America. Otherwise, Donald Trump wouldn't have won the popular vote promising to end this forced acceptance. And also, corporate America wouldn't have changed their stance so drastically between last year and this year if this was something that their customers genuinely wanted and cared about. The truth is, this is just as unpopular today as it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. The only difference is now you're allowed to say that you disagree with it. The only reason corporations did it before was to appeal to the radical left and avoid any kind of backlash that could be used as negative publicity, and to also appease the institutional investors who mandated that they engage in this kind of behavior through their ESG policies if they wanted to continue to receive investment. But it's going much further than just corporations not engaging in this year's performative virtue signaling by having a rainbow profile picture on X. Corporate donations for pride parades and pride events have also completely dried up. Take a look.
The pleasure of pride pushed aside this year by many companies, with corporate sponsors signaling reserve. Pride organizers dismayed.
The corporate model no longer is sustainable in the political climate that we live in today.
That's in St. Louis, seeing major changes this year. While in New York, NYC Pride saying it's dealing with a budget shortfall of more than $750,000 due to dips in corporate sponsorships. A new survey of more than 200 executives by a risk management research firm shows nearly 40% plan to pull back on how they engage with Pride this year. Why? More than 60% say they fear backlash from the Trump administration and its actions against diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts by companies.
Now, it's very easy for the left to automatically assume that the reason this is happening is because corporations are afraid of Donald Trump coming after them because, you know, he's an authoritarian. But Donald Trump is just a mouthpiece for the people. The people were tired of being told by the left and all of the institutions that they controlled that two men who want to shack up with each other are the epitome of bravery and courage and should be celebrated, and we should kiss the ground that they walk on. We were tired of being told we're not kind people unless we champion the idea that children should be allowed to take cross-sex hormones, be sterilized, stop their puberty, surgically mutilate themselves. And that's the reality the left refuses to accept. They can't accept that their cultural position is unpopular at best and dangerously destructive at worst. But because the left had its tentacles in all of the institutions, they could compel through force acceptance of this ideology. If you didn't agree with it, they could take your kids away. If you misgendered somebody, you would get canceled, you would get ridiculed, your business might go bust. You might accidentally lose your job because you unknowingly said something that offended the type of person who is offended at absolutely everything. It created a North Korean style environment where people had to look over their shoulders and make sure nobody was listening if they wanted to engage in basic truth and reality. That is what people were tired of. It's not that Donald Trump came around and said, this is the new ideology. This is what you have to agree with. Donald Trump heard the concerns of the people and said, I will champion this for you. I will give you the freedom to speak freely again. I will free you from living in delusion at fear of losing your livelihood. And again, corporations will take whatever stance they need to make them the most money. The cultural shift is so drastic that even Target is not stocking Pride apparel this June. Take a look.
And the backlash now going both ways. Take Target, the big box retailer formerly famous for its Pride collection, undergoing its own boycott now too.
Well, Target, we still don't need you.
After rolling back its DEI goals. The company saying the backlash is taking a toll along with tariff uncertainty, causing it to miss first quarter sales estimates. We asked Target about its Pride plans, the company telling us it's absolutely dedicated to fostering inclusivity for everyone, adding it's offering an assortment of celebratory products in about half of stores, similar to last year, and sponsoring local events. But the cultural shift going beyond just Pride. You see here the 14-point drop from Republicans in just 4 years in supporting same-sex marriage, the lowest level of acceptance for the party since 2016.
Now, the woke left is directly responsible for that last graph at the end. The inherent problem with progressives is that they're never satisfied. They always need to push the envelope further. The natural end to progressivism is once you achieve whatever cultural change you want, you would then become a conservative to be able to conserve those changes. Once gay people got the right to be married, that was it. Every gender was equal, every race was equal, every sexual orientation was equal. There was no more progress to be made, and that's when they had to concoct in their minds some imaginary scenario where men can become women, and that's the new battle we're going to fight for. And they did everyone else a disservice because they lumped in all these other groups that have already been accepted by culture to help aid them in their new fight. But because their new ideology of transgenderism isn't based in reality, it's based in delusion, once the American people pushed back on that specific ideology, the trans community tried to co-opt sympathy from the gays, from the lesbians, and say, well, if you don't accept us, well, then that means you also don't accept them. And that's why there was such a surge in support for Donald Trump from the gay community, because they wanted to be distanced from the trans movement. So because the trans community unfairly wrapped gay people into their movement with their long-winded LGBTQYZXW hashtag, Americans fought back against what they perceived to be the whole movement. And unfortunately, it has caused Americans to reject something that a decade ago we were generally tolerant of. Now, a video has gone viral of a lady just seething at the fact that Target has replaced all of the Pride apparel with American flag apparel. Watch this breakdown.
Happy Pride Month. In my Target that used to have the Pride section, it's now all USA. Yay. It's an American summer. Except for tourism, because tourism's down because no one wants to come here. USA, woo! And honestly, my dad served in the military, and I'd love to be really proud of this nation, but it's hard to be proud of it under Donald Trump. But hey, you know, while you're here, pick up a USA bikini. You know, why not? Yeah, Target's really taken this anti-DEI thing to another level.
Like, look at the disgust that she has for the flag of her own country. This is just another example of when I say the left hates America, it's not hyperbolic. They don't even try to hide it. They make it clear that's their stance. They have such a lack of perspective for how the rest of the world thinks and operates that they can't even realize we're living in the most equal, fair, and tolerant country to ever exist on the planet. Progressives rejected the idea of religion, of the nuclear family, so they have nothing meaningful to fill the void in their life other than political activism. And because they've all been indoctrinated in a Marxist education in college that teaches them that Western civilization is responsible for all the world's sins, they think that all of us uneducated people simple-mindedly look at the American flag and cheer at the stars and stripes because we're too stupid to understand it. Only them with their advanced education know that the stars and stripes represent genocide and chaos and destabilization and oppression. If you cannot be happy in the United States of America, there is no chance you can be happy anywhere else on earth. Again, most of us don't have a problem with gay people. What we had a problem with was all of our major institutions for a whole month forcing us to accept the public display of degeneracy, of people performing their sexual fetishes and kinks in public, hosting these crude, over-sexual parades, bringing children to them, and then completely gaslighting us and saying, oh, that's not what Pride's about. Pride's about celebrating love, love whoever you want. Displaying these pride flags all across government buildings, on the White House even, displaying to the world that this extreme decadence were values that unite all Americans.
Pride is now big business. Think about big pharma, big tech, big tobacco. And now you know what we've got? Big Pride. Big Pride is a billion-dollar business. Pride events, though, have seen a mass exodus of sponsors since Donald Trump was elected. San Francisco Pride, New York City Pride, Utah Pride, Virginia Pride, Columbus Pride. All the events, all the parades are all now losing money. In Montana, the governor just signed a law banning pride flags from all public school classrooms. Tim Walz put tampons in the men's room. So we've gone from insanity back to common sense. Donald Trump officially banned pride flags from all federal buildings and all U.S. embassies. That's a good thing. That's common sense. You can do it at your house. Do whatever you want, right? I don't need it over a U.S. embassy in Zimbabwe.
Look, I understand the desire for younger generations to want to engage in cultural movements, but leading the culture down a path of depravity is not progress. Mutilating kids isn't progress. We can talk about progress in a bipartisan way if everybody is looking at the country objectively from the same starting point and saying, hey, you know what? It's pretty good. We're a pretty awesome society. But when you're the left and you think that everything is racist or everything is misogynist or everything is some sort of phobic, you end up ignoring the golden rule of don't fix it if it's not broken. When woke lunatics want to eradicate non-existent racism, their solution was to create a whole system in which certain groups got privilege, priority, and preferential treatment over other racial groups. So they just brought racism back from the dead. And when we try to point out the new racism that they've now created, they just call us uneducated. We can't see the racism that was lurking around every corner. And what they implemented wasn't racism, that was social justice. We should have pride in our family. We should have pride in our community. We should have pride in being good, generous people. We should have pride in our country. We should have pride in our accomplishments. We should have pride in our charity. We shouldn't have pride in who we want to have sex with and in what weird ways we want to do it. And it certainly shouldn't coincide with a month-long public display of these proclivities that they encourage children to go to. The fact that corporate America officially canceled Pride Month means that we have won the culture war, the nation is healing, and I'm totally here for it. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.